Sometimes I miss my opportunity to give predictions, but I'm glad I have an opportunity to give one on the upcoming Ward Kovalev 2 fight happening on June the 17th. So it's June the 14th right now, and coming up in 3 days is going to be one of the biggest fights again, and I'm going to let you know who I think is going to win. Stay tuned. Welcome to the DO Boxing Show. I'm your host, Dameon Okposio. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about my prediction for Ward Kovalev 2. So it's going to be a great fight. So first off, I'm going to say that I believe that Ward won the first fight. It was a very, very close fight. But despite the knockdown, Ward showed a lot of grit. He nullified Kovalev's power during the rest of the fight. He was slick enough to not allow Kovalev to connect and hurt him past the knockdown. And Kovalev said that he got tired, but I think a lot of it was the body work of Ward. Ward giving him different angles, changing his strategy mid-fight. And I think a lot of those things weighed mentally and physically on Kovalev, which helped Andre Ward get the victory. So we know that the first fight was super competitive. When guys have not had a loss, especially as a professional fighter, it is very, very difficult, to defeat them. So that's what they had in both fights, and it's one of the things where I think Andre Ward is going to have an edge over Kovalev in the upcoming fight. But Kovalev is no slouch. So I'm going to break down why I believe in my prediction. So we're going to start from the amateurs with both of these fighters. So both of them, one thing that's common with both of them, they're both around the same age, 33, 34 years old. They're only about 1 year apart. They've got a lot of similarities and a lot of similar physical attributes when it comes to, amateur pedigree, amateur experience, as well as professional experience. So both of these fighters started fighting as kids. They both started boxing in 1994. The last time Andre Ward lost was, I believe, in 1998 as a 13-year-old. Andre Ward has about 120 amateur fights with only 5 losses, and Kovalev has approximately just over 200 fights with about 20 some odd losses. And Andre Ward was a 2-time national champion. He was an Olympic gold medalist 2004 Olympics in Athens, Greece, for the U.S. And I believe he's one of the few Americans to medal around that time. So I can't recall right now if other Americans actually medaled. I can't recall. Kovalev, though, I know has never gone to an Olympic Games. He's won a lot of Russian championships. He's had a lot of experience fighting. I think he tried for the national team, but I don't believe he got on there, or if he did get on, he didn't move forward past that. He was beaten by Artur Beterbiev as an amateur, and it doesn't mean much to say except that Artur Beterbiev is a good fighter who also has a great amateur pedigree. In the amateurs, you're still learning. Even as an early pro, you're still learning. But both of them, both Andre Ward and Kovalev, have a very solid base when it comes to their boxing. Lots of experience, so they're not going to be intimidated easily. They've seen a multitude of styles, and to Andre Ward's credit, when he was fighting at the Olympics in 2004 Athens, Greece, he had to go through a number of I think Russian or Eastern European fighters, like fighters from Russia, Uzbekistan, Belarus. So he's seen that style of fighting many, many times at a high level, and so he's no stranger to it. But again, with 120 amateur fights at the highest level, facing a lot of great competition, Andre Ward is prepared and can make adjustments, just like Floyd Mayweather, mid-fight for whatever he needs to do, depending on the opponent that he has in front of him. So Andre Ward hasn't lost since he was 13 years old, and that also, I think, plays a part into the psyche of a fighter as well. So Andre Ward's definitely not used to losing. Both of the fighters, you know, have around 30 professional fights. I think Andre Ward is 31-0. I think he's got 16 knockouts maybe, and Kovalev has got a higher knockout percentage. I think he's like 30. He was 31-1 with something like 26 knockouts. I'm not sure, I didn't write it down, so I don't have it exactly, but again, very similar stats when it comes to now their professional resume, with the exception, because they've got around the same amount of fights. Kovalev in the last little while has been fighting some very top tier opposition, but I would say that's more been towards the latter part of his career. Andre Ward, after he got his initial 10 fights out of the way, and he was started relatively fast, he was facing top tier opposition, and I'm talking about former champions, or at the time they were current champions at super middleweight, and a lot of these guys were bigger guys that had to come down in weight. He took on top tier opposition, guys with that were long-standing champions as well, like Mikkel Kessler, Carl Froch. You know, the list goes on and on. He basically dominated that super middleweight category before moving up to light heavyweight. And at light heavyweight, he didn't have much of a feeling out period before going into top tier opposition, facing guys like Sullivan Barrera, Edwin Rodriguez. Like, those guys are, you know, top light heavyweights, and then getting to now fight with Kovalev. I believe in the upcoming fight, Andre Ward has now knows how to nullify Kovalev's power, and Virgil Hunter made mention in the press conference leading up to the rematch that Andre Ward didn't even get an opportunity to run for the first fight. So they didn't go in there with their best cardio, and I know Virgil Hunter is a very intelligent coach, a very cerebral, great strategist, knows the difference between when to give strategy, when to motivate, and I haven't known him to be someone that exaggerates or lies when he's giving information. So if he's saying that Andre Ward didn't get an opportunity to get a proper camp in, then wasn't able to run, and he was still able to face that adversity, have the kind of endurance, because Andre Ward has never gotten out of shape. He always stays in shape. He always stays in the gym. Same like, again, I'm going to use the reference Floyd Mayweather, because they're two kind of very unique in that way. These guys stay close to their fighting weight all the time. That's a testament to Andre Ward's fitness, his commitment to fitness, and you know, when it gets to that elite level, it's what you're doing leading up to that fight. It's what your habits are. It's what you do every day. And Andre Ward has shown he's been monk-like when it comes to his professional career and training. Almost like Bernard Hopkins. You know, there's kind of no days off. You're always in shape. And it's a lifestyle as opposed to a job. With Kovalev, and these are just reports, that he does take breaks, and will relax and, not necessarily let himself go, because he seems to have a great metabolism and great work ethic. But I don't think that there's been rumors of him with, liking vodka and, drinking a little bit. Not that he has a drinking problem, but I'm saying that when you're fighting at that elite level, all your habits come into play. Whatever it is that you do, all those things come into play. So, I give Andre Ward, I'm going to give him a slight edge when it comes to the fitness. I'm going to give him a slight edge when it comes to the intangibles of heart and determination, based on how he's been conducting himself, how he's been living, and how he's been training for so long, and been so consistent in terms of how he prepares and performs. This time around, he's had a proper camp. Kovalev is also looking great this camp. He's made adjustments with his personal trainer, so he's looking at things. And Andre Ward made a lot of mention that Kovalev didn't accept the loss the first time around, so he may not be making the proper adjustments. And I think that's a valid statement, but I think that Kovalev is smart. You don't get through 200 amateur fights with only 20 losses, which is a phenomenal record, by not develop some skills, not learn how to make some adjustments. When it comes to being successful, though, too, usually it's because you've perfected a certain style. So one thing about Kovalev, I don't see him going much to the body. There's been a great HBO sort of a 24/7 that they've done, and you'll see in some of the pad sessions, that's mostly the head that Kovalev is training to attack, with the odd body shot thrown in here and there. And I really anticipate that is going to be one of the things that's going to have a big impact on the fight and how the fight goes. Is Kovalev going to go to Ward's body? Yes. Is it going to be a constant and sustained attack? No, I don't think so. Will Andre Ward have a constant and sustained body attack against Kovalev? Yes, I do believe that, because Andre Ward is an all-around fighter. We've seen that in his game. He can sit down in front of an opponent. He can be elusive. He can box on his feet. He has great defensive skills. So we have also seen that Kovalev is a very, very good boxer when he needs to be, and we saw that with him matching weights with Bernard Hopkins and really outboxing the boxer in that particular fight. But that was an older Bernard Hopkins as well. This is a young prime Andre Ward who, for all intents and purposes, has kind of mastered his style of boxing. So in this particular fight, I'm going to be giving the edge to Andre Ward. I think Andre Ward is going to come up with the victory. I think it's going to be more of a dominant win for Andre Ward, a more decisive win for Andre Ward, and I think it's going to go to the scorecards. Virgil Hunter said that he's going to make Kovalev quit, and I think Kovalev may get frustrated through the fight, but a guy with 200 amateur fights, 30 professional fights, and has been a dominant force in the light heavyweight division. He pretty much cleared out that division. I don't think that he is going to be intimidated, or I don't think his ego is going to be damaged so much by losing or by being frustrated by Andre Ward that he's actually going to quit. I think he's going to have a lot of dog and fight in him right up until the very end. I think it's going to be a competitive, dangerous fight right up until the end. I just think that Andre Ward is going to be prepared for that, and I think mentally, I don't see him letting off on the gas at the end of fights like Oscar De La Hoya has done in the past, or other great fighters have done in the past. I don't see Andre Ward letting off the gas in the end of the fight. I see him being consistent, mentally sharp, mentally consistent all the way through, and making it a decisive win, and not really leaving too much for the judges to really ponder. So that's my prediction. Andre Ward, decision victory on June the 17th. Let me know what you think in the comment section. And don't forget that you can also ask us any questions related to boxing by sending us a message through Twitter at DOKPOSIO or through email okposio@hotmail.com. Don't forget to subscribe through YouTube to get every episode of the DO Boxing Show. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode, for hearing me out. It was like a long kind of explanation, but I wanted to give a lot of background on the fighters that maybe you haven't heard or weren't aware of, and hopefully it was informative and gives you a little bit more interest and zeal when you do watch the fight. Thanks for tuning into this episode, and we'll catch you on the next one.